everybody, welcome back to Basic Build 2, and this is the barn build and it's part 6. Yes, part 6. We lost a whole, well, I sort of lost a video because I did the rebuild because I wasn't happy with the brickwork. But a quick overview before we start. Now, all the brickwork has come up to my standard now. I'm quite happy with it all now, and I'm quite happy now to actually continue on with this particular build. As you can see, we'll go all the way around to this far end, and I'm going to cut it very short because this is where we're going to be starting. We're actually going to be building the stairs. Now, I'm on a little bit of a mission. I have got lots of sort of offcuts of timber or balsa wood, which I really want to use up, because if not, it's just going to go to waste. So my mission is to build these stairs using as much as the offcut stuff as I possibly can. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stick you on pause. I'm going to get everything together. I shall get all my offcuts of balsa wood and we will work from the pile. Okay, we'll start off by looking at the pile of offcuts that are in question. Now, as you can see, they're all different shapes and sizes, and I would like to use as much of this as I possibly can. You do get a lot of offcuts. Simple reason being, well, I buy mine in the 900 lengths, the balsa wood, and I cut it down using my different tools, angle cutter and straight cutter, and my chopper as well. And I cut stuff down, and I cut things down to fit a certain job and only use so much of it, so you end up getting quite a long length left. And I've got a tendency of just tying them all to one side and making a new piece up to what I want. So my mission is to use as much of this pile as I possibly can before I actually cut anything. So we've got that bit over and done with. Now if I lift the camera up, I hope everything's going to come back into focus, which it is. We're going to start with the stairs on this end. Now I've already made a mock-up of in the direction that I'm going. Now I did have a few suggestions. People said do the stairs the opposite way, all different things, but I'm going to stick to this way for the simple reason is this is going on a circular base, and this is going to be on the limit of the circle, and there's not going to be much going on this end. So the stairs is basically going to have troops on it, maybe some stores, something down the bottom there. I'm not quite sure, but we'll figure all that out when we get to it. But we're going to get on with the stairs now. The first thing I'm going to do, we're actually going to build this top landing. Now it's going to be done on a cantilever system where the timbers went straight through the wall and fixed on the inside, and they just jutted out so much. So what I'm going to do to start off with, I'm going to find the joists through here, and we're actually going to get 2 timbers inserted into the wall. I think I might even cut into the wall actually to make it look more realistic. So we'll actually get 2 timbers sticking out. Now the width of the stairs, I'm going for the same width as the door, whatever that is. We'll soon find out. Right, it's about 24, well, nearly 25 mil. That will be sufficient. So we'll actually make the width of the landing 25 mil, because the door's going to be opening outwards on this. So to start off with, I'm going to get rid of this, and we'll get marked up and we'll get set out for putting these 2 timbers in to start off with. Okay, first things first. Now, right at the beginning when we started this, I said I want to keep everything to panels because it would make things, well, setting out easier later on when we get up the top. And this is just a little bit of proof in the pudding. Now what I want to do now is I want to knock a hole straight the way through here and put 2 timbers through. Now we know now that we put 4 quarters of bricks on top of the last panel, so we've got our gauge to start off with. But we only need to count down 3 bricks because the 4th brick was taken up with the wall plate. So this line here is going to be where the actual timbers come out. So that's going to be the top of the timber, should I say, like so. And also I'm going to keep these timbers in direct line with the door, so when the 2 timbers come out we can actually do a overhang with our joists on top of the 2 timbers, just to give us a nice effect, if nothing else. So just here and in line with that one we can just use the brick coursing. I'm going to cut a hole through there, and I'm going to cut a hole through there. Well, probably not all the way through, but partially the way through, so I can actually get a timber into glue. But we'll see. We'll see how far the drill goes. So I'm going to cut the 2 holes, and then I should come back to you. Now, I know we're a bit at an angle, but it's the only way I can really show you. Now, what I've done is, in the 2 squares that I've marked, I've drilled a pilot hole right the way through the wall to the other side on both of these, and I've done that a brick, well, half a brick should I say, them 2 pilot holes go through. And what I'm going to do now is I've got a 5mm, oh there we go, there's the thing, I've got a 5mm, as you can see, in a drill, nothing too complicated there. And what we're going to do is just very gently drill all the way through. That's one hole, and I don't know if we can see. Let me drop the camera down and we'll refocus you. Now, by my reckoning, that should be just under it's just underneath the joists, and that's exactly where I want it. So I'll bring you back out again. So I'm going to drill this other one, but all we need to do now is just square that hole up, or square both of them up actually once I've drilled the second one, and that will then take our timbers through underneath the joists, and that's will give us the cantilever fixing. Now I've squared up the 2 holes. All I used was my little Tamiya saw. I just squared up the edges and then ran it through just with a file just to square it up. I've already picked my pieces of timber, which were 2 offcuts, and these will be inserted through, excuse the big hands, through like so. This is going to make our cantilever. Now if I take you round, I'm hoping the camera's going to play ball, and back underneath, and that, then the timbers are just going to sit just underneath the joists, which to me is going to look really realistic, because that's how it would be cantilevered off. So back outside, sorry about this, but I just thought I'd show you that, just so you know there's no jiggery pokery that I'm doing. So that's that bit. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to measure these out to 25mm, wasn't it? Yeah, I shall measure them out to 25mm, and I shall glue them in place and glue them to the joist behind, and then I'll come back to you and we'll carry on with the next bit. The 2 cantilever beams have been put in, they've been glued in. I've gritted up round the front. I don't know if I'll be able to show you this, but we'll have a go. Now inside I had to put 2 little packers up underneath the actual beams to bring it through level. Nothing too mad, it was just a very thin strip of balsa wood glued on top, and so it touched the actual joists. Nothing too big, and you can't really see it, to be honest with you. Now it's dried and it blends in quite well. So that's that done. I'm not going to linger on that too much. Now if we bring you out and turn it down there, just bear with me a second, people, while I'll just make sure you're focused in. There we go. Now we're going to turn our attention now to the second landing. Now, that's our mock-up in, and we're going to be working on this bit just here. But before we actually do that, what I need to do is to cut a piece of board for the base, because I want everything sat on a base. Simple reason is because they would have supported it from the ground, and it's just going to make it easier for me to actually build these stairs. So this is a piece of balsa wood. It's two pieces I've glued together, 1.7, they're 1.7 at each, making up, I think it's 3.3, somewhere on that line anyway. It doesn't have to be too critical, you know. If you've got a piece 3mm, 2mm, it will suffice the job. So with this ruler, what we're going to do is just come level off the front wall, and if we just draw a line down there. Now I'm doing it level with the front there because my first post is going to come up there, and if we've got a nice straight edge here, that means that when we put our next post, we don't have to do any messing about of lining it up, because we've already got our line. So I'll be cutting that off, and also I'll be cutting this down to roughly about 60mm. Excuse me. I'm going to go for 60mm because the width of the stairs is 25mm. So we've got two stairs, that will be 50mm altogether, but I'm allowing that little bit extra for the posts that will sit in the middle supporting everything. So I'm going to get that cut down, and I should be back with you in a second. Right, what I've done now is I put a piece of cling film underneath the building. I've taped my ruler to the front, just so I've got a nice straight edge coming off the front elevation. And I've now got my piece of timber. Now my piece of timber, I've cut this down to 60mm wide, and it's 100mm long. I've also drawn my two 25mm lines through it, just as a rough guide for when I'm building. So that's going to be placed onto there like that, and what I'm going to do is actually glue it along this edge. Also what I've marked out, you probably can't see from that angle, is 25, counted up 25 courses. Now that's going to take me to the top of my first landing, so that will be where my timber goes against the wall, against that 25 course mark. Now above that I've counted up 12, and that's going to be for the yaw post to go up to support the handrail. So I've already got one cut, and that will be sitting like this. Now in if you want it in millimeters, it's 60mm and 90mm. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to get this edge glued in, and we'll get this first post glued in against this wall. Base has been glued against the actual wall. We've got the first post glued in. Now the second post only needs to be the height of the level of the first landing. Now that is 60mm. I've already cut it, or 25 courses. I've already cut that one, so this one's going to sit here, and it's going to sit 3.5 bricks in, which is roughly nearly 26mm. So you can very easily just use the coursing of the line of your bricks, the perks should I say, in the actual brickwork. So I'm going to glue that against that edge, so it's 26mm on the outside of each of those timbers. Now I'm going to glue that on, and I'll be back with you in a second. So we've got the inside post glued to the wall, and it's dry. Now what I've done, I've cut a piece to go in between the two, which in a very few seconds I'm going to glue in there. Also what I've done, I've cut another 3 posts, well, 90mm long, the same as this. Now these posts are going, once I get my big hand out of the way, they're going to go on the outside of this mark, which you can't see. So let us turn the camera down a fraction. There we go, sorry about that. So I've got my 225mm marks. Now this post is going to go on the outside like so. There's going to be one there, and one right in the centre here on the outside mark as well, and that is going to make our yaw posts to take the handrail. Now we've got to start building this up. So we've got the first one to glue in, no problem at all. I've cut another piece of timber that goes from that piece of timber to the actual mark, so the post sits on the outside. And what I've done as well, I'll take that bit off there because that's going to fall off. So let me get that bit in there so I can explain. Now what I've done is I've cut 2 dead men the same height as that's going to end up as. And what I'm going to do is just pin one to this side, which you can't really see because my big hands are in the way, and it's just 2 scrap bits of wood, that's all it is. So I'll pin that one there to hold that one in place. I've got another one which I'm just going to pin to the second piece of timber, like so. Now when I put that there onto that mark, and the piece I cut, I can then glue. It's very fiddly trying to show you actually. That's going to sit on there, that's going to sit on there, like so. Once it's dry, we'll take the 2 dead men out. So I'll be gluing it there and that side and onto the 25mm mark on the bottom. Now I'm going to glue them down and then I shall come back to you and we can have a little look at that. These 2 bits, they're dry now. I've just used my square to make sure it was kept up plumb, and excuse the big hands, but we can take the 2 dead men out now. Don't throw them away, keep them, and then that side is complete. Now we move from there to the inside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piece of scrap timber, but make sure it's straight. I've already got my marks there, so we're just going to, excuse the big hands, just going to pin that down into that edge. You see there's a hole that we've used before, so move that again, pin that, another pin, just keeping it on the mark. Now that's giving you a guide for your next piece. Now what I've done, I've cut another piece exactly the same size as this bit, and all I'm going to do, I'm going to repeat the operation that I did that side. A dead man against this edge, like so, one against the beam. If you just bear with me a second, like so. Oh, knocking the camera. And that's going to go against that mark, and it's very difficult with the camera in the way. And then we're going to put our following timber, and by using the 2 dead men we know it's all going to be the same level. Now I'm going to get on and get that glued. Also, before I get that glued, what I'm doing as well, as I'm going along, I should have started this right to start off with, I'm just giving the balsa wood a little bit of a grain, and all this is a scribe, and I'm literally just running it down the balsa wood like so, just to try and give it that sort of, because this is going to be like a silver grey when I finish, just to give it that worn wood look. But I'll be doing that with all my pieces. So I'll get on and get this bit glued, and I'll be back with you in a second. Right, I've taken the ruler away, I've taken all the bits and pieces, the dead men away. I took the liberty of putting this small piece in, which is exactly the same size as the opposite side. Just use the dead men and then just glued that piece in, so I can leave that bit to dry off before I start messing about with other bits and pieces on it. Now I'm going to give that a little time to dry off, and while that's drying off we'll move up to the top landing. Top landing is going to be just a straightforward box, and I'm going to build it on the bench. Now I've marked out, if you can just see, is one brick from the inside of the door on both sides. That measurement works out at 41 millimeters. If we're going to go for the point, it's 0.59. So we need to cut 2 pieces of timber to start off with, which in great blue Peter fashion I have done. So there's the first one, and there's the second one. And we need the timber now to come on the inside of the box. So getting that size is very simple. Put your 2 pieces of balsa against the wall, place your other piece of timber on the beam and mark underneath the beam like so. That's going to give you your measurement for the inside. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to make a small box up, but I'm going to make it up on the bench, and then we'll come back and fit it. Now I've made my small box up for the top there, and it's just going to sit on there like so. Nothing too complicated. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to glue that all in place, and then we'll get moved on to the next bit. Moving on, we're going to now put some posts in to take the handrails round the front. Now what I've done, I've counted up 12 courses and put a mark, because that's what we did at the bottom. So I want my post to hang just below by 2 courses. So I've marked up 2 courses, and all I need to do now is mark up 3 pieces of timber at that height, one for this corner, one for that corner, and one for there. So I'm going to get that done. I shall be back with you in a second. Right, I've cut my 3 posts, and what I've done now is I've got my dead man, and I've cut it down to 12 courses, which is the distance from the top of that to that mark there. Now pinning that on the back flush with the top will now give you a level, so when we come to glue these on like so, we'll get them set all at the right distance. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue this one and this one on, but not this one. So I'm going to get these 2 glued on, and then I'll come back to you. Now I've got 2 of the posts fitted in, and now we come to the 3rd post. But the problem being is, because these posts have been put on the outside of the frame, this one really needs to sit right on the corner, and there's nothing there to hold it. So the way we're going to get over this is by cutting a piece of timber from this edge and bringing it flush with this edge here, which in great blue Peter fashion I've got one already cut. So that piece of timber is going to go in there to that front edge. Now I should get that glued in, and then I should come back to you. Now that piece has been glued in, and now the actual post will line up with the edge of that piece of timber that we've put in, and that then will bring all the posts in line. I also cut a piece of timber to go between these 2 as well, just to finish it off and make it all look equal. So I'll get that done, and I shall be back with you in a second. Now, last post being put in, I've just put a piece of timber at the front just to make it look all nice and equal, and I'm quite happy about that. Now there is some other bits of timber to go in. There's one to go from side to side there, and also another one on there, but I will do them a bit later on when everything's had a chance to dry off. Now moving on to the actual making of the stairs. Now we need to find this angle and this angle, and I'm going to try and show you a way. Hopefully I won't smash the camera up or anything else. What I've done at the top here, I've done a mark from this top level all the way around, so I actually know where the top of that timber is. If you place your timber down, so I don't know if you can see that, so that corner is just touching the edge. Just put a pin in to hold it, like so. Then with another piece of timber, if we mark up, I'm hoping I can do this without smashing the camera, put a piece of timber in like so, can we see that? And then mark that up. Now I'm just going to cut that. Now so we cut that first one, just bear with me a second people. Right, we've got that first angle cut. Now if we replace it back in the same position with that mark there, so as you can see that angle now is against there, and it's very, very simple. We just do a little bit of a pencil line at the back. Hopefully that's marked. Yes, I'll cut that one. You'll have to talk amongst yourselves while I'm doing this. There we go. So we've got the bottom angle, and now we have the top angle, and I rushed that one and I didn't cut it quite square, but you get the idea. So it's very quick and easy to get your angles. Now I'm going to get two of these cut, one for that side and one for this side, and then we'll get on with actually setting the stairs out. Now I have my two pieces cut, and what we need to do now is work out where the treads are going to go. Hopefully I can show you. If you place your bit of timber in where it's going to go, like so, right, we've got it there, and then count down from the top of the timber. Just want to come down 1, 2, 3 bricks and just make a small mark like so. Now if you measure that up, that mark should come in at, correct, is 10 point, can we see that? It comes in at 10.42. Now using these, if we go all the way down and just put a small pencil mark all the way down, and that will give us the gap for our risers. Now I'm going to do that, and I will be back with you in a second. I've upended the barn, and we're looking down onto it now because it's going to be a bit easier just to show you how to make a little jig up to mark up your treads for your stairs. Now I'm cut 3 of these pieces all together. The third one's a little bit of a sacrificial one, but I've put my marks on, and what I'm going to do is now I'm going to find one of them marks with a straight edge. Let's have a look. That one will do nicely, and what we're going to do is draw a line across there like so. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that there, and that's going to make me a little jig up so I can actually slide down the marks, mark across then I know exactly that the treads are going to go in level. So when we put the stairs in, the treads are going to sit level. So I'm going to cut that. Now I have my two sides all marked up, so they're done. I've cut some treads. These work out at 23mm minus the thickness of them two pieces of wood. Now all I'm going to do is, with some super glue, I'm going to glue these in one at a time all the way down. Now I'm going to assemble that up and then we'll come back ready for fitting. Now I've assembled them stairs. All I've done as well, I've ran across it with my little scribe, just to scribe it in and make it look a bit more like wood. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to fit that when he gets it in there. I'm going to get that fitted in because we need to get the top boarded out, the second landing boarded out, and we need to get these handrails on. So I'm going to get that glued in and I shall be back with you in a second. Stairs have been glued in. There's a couple of things I'm going to do straight away. First thing I'm going to do is glue that last post in so we can get the handrail on, and also I'm going to plank out. I'm just going to plank this way and long planks that way. I'm going to get all them done. I don't think you really need me to show you how to do them because they're very straightforward. So I'm going to get that all done and then I should come back to you. Now we've got the boards done at the top and we've got the boards done on the second landing, should I say. Yes, it is a landing, yes. Also I did put some noggins in underneath, just in case anyone thinks I missed them out. I didn't. Now moving on, I want to start now getting the handrails all put on all the way around. Now I've already cut the dead men down because I want my handrails just to sit about 3 or 4 mil below the top of the post. So what I'm going to do is I'll fit all the straight ones, and before I fit the one that actually goes down the stairs, then I'll come back and you can have a little look at what I'm doing with that. Now I've put the handrails on top and bottom, and we now come to the one going down the stairs. Now there's no real easy way of doing it. The way I do it is I get a full length and I judge it. That to me looks about okay. Pin the top like so. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then just mark them up as we normally do, cut it and glue it in. So I'm going to do that one. I'm just going to mark it up and I should cut that and get that one fitted. Now things are moving on. We've got the handrail glued in, that's okay, no problems there. Now I'm going to turn my attention to the last part of the stairs. Now I'm going to construct this exactly the same way as we did the top one, and the great thing about it is that I cut one of these too short. Now it works out that if I cut this off at the bottom, which I shall do now, like so, if we cut that off at the bottom, that will work perfectly. I've just got to angle it a little bit more, and using the jig that I made to draw the lines, it works bang on. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make another set of stairs up, and when I get them finished I'll come back and we'll get them fitted and get the little bits and pieces finished off. Now the stairs have been completed, not glued in yet. A couple of things that I need to get done. The first one is we need to just cut the bottom of the stairs off so I can get a post in at the bottom, one either side, and also get 2 handrails in, and that's it, it's finished. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get this get the stairs glued in, and I'm going to get these posts put in as well and the handrails, and then I should come back to you. Now stairs have been glued in. I've put the 2 posts at the bottom, same height as all the rest of them, which was 12 courses. I've put the handrails on, they're all glued in and it's completed. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on and get it painted. Now what I'm going to be using is this AK light grey. Now this is out of one of their weathering sets for old wood. So what I'm going to do is give it a paint all over with this light grey, and then I'm going to hit it with a brown and a black wash because I want that sort of dark wood silvery effect that has been out in the weather for a long time. So I'll get this all coated up, and I will be back with you very shortly. Now, apologies, it seems the last clip the sound was a load of rubbish, so I can't include it, but the clip was I'd given it a coat of the light grey by AK, and I started giving it a coat of my 50/50 brown wash. Now I'm going to continue on. So it's had a complete covering of grey, and now it's had the brown wash, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a coat of the black. Now the black wash is my normal dipping wash by Vallejo, so I'm going to get on with that, and hopefully I should be back with you in a second. I've given it all a coat of the black wash. It's not 100% dry because it's going to be left now to dry out for quite a few days, but you can see just by using the grey as the base, a brown and a black wash, you get pretty good effects very simply, very quickly. Now I will be leaving this to dry out completely. I won't be touching this again because it's my base weathering, my base colours, and we will be going on later to get this all weathered in, pigments and bits and pieces like that. So this is going to be the end of this particular video on building the stairs and getting them to a level of ready for weathering. Next video is going to be on getting the roof all slated in, guttering, bits and pieces like that. Apologies for the length of this video, but I did want to try and cover as much as I could to just to show you how I go about building the stairs. I will do some photographs of the stairs and clip them on to the end of the video. I know it makes the video a bit longer, but just so you can see a little bit better close up. So with that, what I can say is thank you very much for sitting through it. Hopefully we will see you on the next one.